The future is bright.
Yeah, in some places. Yeah, in some places. I just feel like, you end the season in the NFL, and then the next thing you know, less than 24 hours later, you're clearing out your locker. It's just like the finality of it all. Like when the Buffalo Bills were watching Tyler Bass try and tie the game, do you think anybody's like tapped him on the shoulder and said, "Hey, just so you know, like you're wasting your time. We're going to be having to answer questions about the future coming up in less than 24 hours while we're cleaning out our locker and going home, courtesy of Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs yet again." Yet, Josh Allen, the quarterback of the Buffalo Bills, he apparently feels a little bit more optimistic than most about where the organization is headed.
All signs are still pointing up with this team. I know it feels bleak, and there's probably going to be a lot of change, whether it's personnel, guys coming back, guys not playing. Again, that's all speculation. That's nothing that I know, nor can I focus on, to be honest. I just got to continue to keep working hard and bringing the guys that are here along and keep trying to mesh everybody together. And, it takes an entire organization. It takes every single person in this facility to win a Super Bowl, and some good long looks in the mirror and conversations with people that are in and outside the building, just asking, what can I do more? What can I be better at? And learning and growing from that, and that's exactly what I plan on doing. I believe in what we've got going on here and the people that are in charge. I believe in myself, and that'll never change.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to just come out right and say it, because I think Josh Allen's a franchise quarterback, and if you have one of those, it does appear like you've got a chance, at least a fighting chance, but damn, I don't like their chances to win one. Like, with everything they've got to deal with.
How many franchise quarterbacks win Super Bowls?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like,
just go look no further than Buffalo. You had an amazing franchise quarterback. You had an amazing franchise running back. You had an amazing franchise defensive end. You had amazing franchise linebackers. You had an amazing franchise receiver.
Special teams guy, too, Steve Tasker.
You had an amazing special teams guru.
That's a wide receiver, though, too.
You had Don Beebe too, by the way. Listen, how many elite quarterbacks win it all? I mean, if we're looking at percentages, I would probably say there's a small percentage of franchise quarterbacks that win it all. So I don't know that we should, and I generally don't like to take the mic first, but I mean, just super quickly, I don't really feel like he should be judged off of that. I guess perceivably based off of if he's having a positive impact and a positive career, because a lot of guys that are really, really good, I mean, there's a laundry list of quarterbacks that you can name that are franchise guys that left this game with no Super Bowls. So I know we're judged by that, and I know quarterbacks are judged by the amount of Super Bowls that they win or MVP awards, but I mean, if I'm Josh Allen, I'm spot on with I'm lockstep with him. Like, you got to keep believing in yourself, and you got to hope that your team improves enough where you make a run for a Super Bowl. And if you're lucky enough, if you're blessed enough, if you keep a coach long enough, if you can keep the right players for long enough, then the chances of that happening go up. I'm done.
Dan Marino never won a Super Bowl.
Never won.
Think about that. Like he's the standard, if you ask some people, in regards to quarterback evaluation and what they compare him to as passers. People who've been around the game a long time will say it's Dan Marino, and then that's who everyone compares guys to. So, yeah, I mean, quarterbacks are ultimately judged by their wins, judged by those wins that if they're Super Bowls, right? I mean, how oftentimes people would talk about Eli Manning and said, well, what's his case to be in the Hall of Fame? He's won 2 Super Bowls. Now, statistically speaking, there'll be guys with better stats, but those guys might not have the Super Bowls to go along with it. So I think for the Bills, the tough thing is, in talking about the future, they are $43 million over the cap going into 2024. That's a tough spot to be. And you look at Von Miller, who's got a almost $24 million cap hit next year. That's probably not going to be there. You know, Diggs has got a almost $28 million cap hit. Even Josh Allen's cap hit at $47 million will probably be restructured to some degree. At least I would think that if you want to create cap space, he's your guy. Like, you'd want to restructure with him maybe a little bit to create some. But as you go down the line and you start looking at some of the pieces that they've got a ton of restructuring to do. There's going to be some tough cuts they're going to have to make to see, whether or not, if they can't restructure guys, they can save some money on some guys. So to Josh Allen's point, there's always going to be change. There's always going to be turnover on a roster. But even more so with a team like the Buffalo Bills, who I think when you compare them to everyone else in the NFL, I think they're the third highest team over the cap in comparison to the rest of the league. Only the Saints and the Chargers are in a worse cap position than the Buffalo Bills headed into 2024 right now.
Yeah, it just and I feel bad for Bills fans because it's like we were just here, 30 years ago, and here we are again. It's almost as if they're just wrong place, wrong time yet again. And there was a little bit of magic dust that was kind of sprinkled on this team later in the year, and you got Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs at home, like we talked about yesterday. You still lost. It was a down year for the Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow. You assume he's going to come back and he's going to be healthy. It just feels like they find themselves in this spot yet again where, yeah, they're good. They're just not good enough to get over the hump with all these other teams out there. And Mahomes isn't going anywhere. Like, Lamar Jackson's not going anywhere. He appears like he's getting better, if anything. It just seems like they're in a tough spot. So maybe to LaVar's point, you just got to remove your expectations or what you consider to be a successful era of football from he's got to win a Super Bowl to, damn, at least you're in contention, at least you're in the hunt and in the mix, but you're just ultimately not going to get past the Kansas City Chiefs or the Bengals and some of these other teams that are out there.
It's hard for most people to accept. And I'm not saying that's the reality of it because things can change. But it's a competitive game. It's a competitive league. You gotta match things up, salary wise and just who's going to be there and who's not going to be there, and it's a difficult puzzle to solve. And some guys, unfortunately, think about it. Mike Vick. Who was more electrifying than Mike Vick at one point in time in the National Football League? Never got one. It's like you talk about, Cincinnati, Boomer Assassin. He never got one. These are times where you have to say it's almost like life when you're accomplishing things in life. You can't be so focused in on what you feel the end result is supposed to be that you don't admire and take things at face value and appreciate them while you're going through it. Appreciate Josh Allen's brilliance as a football player. And if you are able to get championships during his time with you, look at Matt Ryan. How many great moments did he give Atlanta Falcons fans?
Oh, God, but that Super Bowl he lost, I would never – I would disappear into
the
woods.
But he gave that fan base a ton of moments that they could be proud of and have hope. And just because it got doused every single year, every single time, some type of way, that doesn't take away the experiences that you had when you won big games and you had opportunities to cheer and enjoy the brilliance of him as a football player. And I think that's what you got to focus in on.
I would rather not have gone to a Super Bowl than to go to the Super Bowl and lose the way they lost.
I don't disagree with you.
That is a miserable existence.
But then you don't have a conference championship.
You were excited for a Super Bowl, though.
Yeah, like there's so much to it. There's no conference championship. There's no shot at a Super Bowl.
But you had a 25-point lead.
That's such a weedy response. Like, I would rather not. It doesn't matter. Like, you had the shot. You were there. Like, it didn't work out. It doesn't matter how it didn't.
Yeah, I don't want to deal with that.
This isn't horseshoes.
It was a part of history. He's just on the wrong side of it.
Look, what's the old adage? It's better to have loved and lost than to have never loved at all. I'd rather have never loved at all than to lose that way. Like, I'll disappear and never be heard from again if I lost a game like that.
That's so anti-human, though. Like the whole point of humanity is like our emotions and being able to experience the highs and the lows.
Oh.
Indeed.
Like you just want to be like the guy who's like numb, like a robot.
Damn right.
Yeah, but you've based that off of loving.
I was
for
AI.
you to make the statement.
I was AI before AI. Okay?
That's not true.
Yeah.
You've had to have experienced the pain of loving for you to say that I'd rather not love at all than to have what? I'd rather what?
I'd rather.
Well, some,
What you're
not to get
saying?
too philosophical, LaVar, but some would
Yeah.
say if you haven't experienced love, then you would never know what pain felt like, right?
There you go. And how do you make the judgment? How do you base the judgment unless you have a reference point? So to me, I don't think that makes sense. Like, if I had the opportunity to play in a Super Bowl, I'm not sitting there like, man, you know what? 2020 hindsight, I hate that we made it there. I hate that we made it that far because, well, then we had to lose it that way. Like, nah, I don't. Like, you had the opportunity to win it all. Like, I never had the opportunity. I wish I had the feeling of what Super Bowl week felt like. You know, and what comes along with that.
What are you talking about? You spent Super Bowl week with us.